Tonight on the record, North Korea's President Kim Jong-un taking to North Korean television, bragging that he tested North Korea's first hydrogen bomb. But was it really a hydrogen bomb? Is Kim Jong telling the truth? Lying? Delusional? The underground nuclear test coming at the same time as a magnitude 5.1 seismic event. But Kim Jong-un's bragging that it was a hydrogen bomb, meeting with widespread skepticism from around the world.
We have determined that they conducted a nuclear test last night.
We will not accept North Korea as a nuclear-armed state.
This looks like a provocation. We have to have a well-honed response with our allies on this rogue regime.
They do have a history here of these sorts of tests.
Any kind of nuclear test, like the one that North Korea conducted last night, is provocative and a flagrant violation of United Nations Security Council resolutions.
This act is profoundly destabilizing for regional security.
We strongly condemn this violation of UN Security Council resolutions.
I condemn it unequivocally.
Illinois Representative and Air Force pilot Congressman Adam Kinzinger goes on the record. Good evening, sir.
Hey, Greta.
Kim Jong-un, the president of DPRK, North Korea, says that it was a spectacular success, its first hydrogen bomb, and it would make the world look up to our strong nuclear country, meaning North Korea.
Wow. I mean, I think it's his birthday, too, so happy birthday. But, you know, look, at the end of the day, we don't know if this was a hydrogen bomb. I've heard some pretty serious people say they don't think it was, maybe kind of just a souped-up atomic bomb. But this is what they do. They saber rattle. They do things like this. They get the world's attention. And then typically the pattern is now they want something for it. Now they want negotiations. But this is really going to have to rely on our strong response in terms of reaffirming our allies, building relations between Japan and Korea, which haven't always been that great, and then pressuring the Chinese to do what they need to do.
All right. I've been there for better or for worse, I think, 3 times.
Yeah.
It is a country like no other country I've ever been to. But while all the attention is whether this is a hydrogen or atomic bomb, a hydrogen being far more powerful than atomic nuclear bomb, just having a nuclear bomb is bad. I mean, it's almost like we're a little distracted. I mean, this is a rogue nation that is threatening.
Well, and I think it's, not to jump on this, but I think it's a lesson for what happened in Iran. Because in '94, when this agreement was signed, we thought we had a peace in our time agreement. North Korea will never get a nuclear weapon. And they ended up marching out with a nuclear weapon. Even outside of the nuclear weapons.
Which they got from our then ally, Pakistan, from A.Q. Khan, who's the father of the nuclear weapon in Pakistan. I mean, there's all this, I mean, which is the Walmart of nuclear weapons,
Yeah,
Pakistan.
Which is why it's important we're on these issues all over. But look, when all is said and done, even without a nuclear weapon, it's the most militarized zone in the world. I think Seoul, if they get into an artillery exchange, the North and the South, they level their main cities in a quick amount of time. The key is to try to ratchet down tension between the two, but also to reaffirm South Korea, to reaffirm Japan, and pressure China to say, get these people in line. China's got their own economic issues they're fighting with right now. I'm sure they don't want a rogue nation throwing nuclear weapons around right on their border.
I think my experience there has been that, you know, the people there, I've never met Kim Jong-un, really believe that we Americans every single day are spending 24/7 trying to think of ways to kill them.
Yeah.
They are still fighting the war. They see us at the enemy. This is not an easy task, but we have sort of been letting it go until they do something provocative like this.
Well, it's a cult. It's a large national cult with Kim, the Kim dynasty, being in essence their god, and they believe and worship everything he says. However, though, we are getting some indications that there may be some dissent building in North Korea. There may be people that understand that the world outside of North Korea is actually way better.
They get executed. I mean, anytime every time there's a dissent, all of a sudden there's these mysterious car accidents of these leaders. I mean, people disappear very quickly in North Korea.
Yeah, that's right. But you know what? Information is powerful, and you know, as DVDs get snuck in for the North Korean people to see, as they get a little more courageous to talk with their neighbors, you're seeing a little bit of instability, and maybe this is also why he's blustering as big as he does, and why he makes the statements he does, is because if you believe the external enemy is out to get you, you unite behind your leader even if you don't necessarily like him.
They are so isolated, though, so hermetically sealed from the world that not a lot usually.
Malnourished, they're in prison camps.
Not a lot
depressing.
Congressman, nice to see you. Thanks, sir.
Thanks.
And the North Korean nuclear test, whether atomic or the far more powerful hydrogen, causing immense alarm and forcing the United Nations Security Council to hold an emergency meeting. Former U.S. spokesperson to the United Nations, Rick Bonnell, goes on the record. Good evening, sir.
Good to be here.
The UN Security Council met today.
Yeah.
What'd they do?
Emergency meeting. Not much. I mean, this is one of the problems that we have is that we were not prepared. Sam Power, our ambassador there, clearly caught flat-footed. She shows up to the Security Council meeting. We have some talk. We issue a press statement, not even a resolution. She doesn't even put down a draft resolution condemning this action. Now, look, we're just coming off their testing in December. We have a series of problems that have been going on in North Korea. I'm not sure how the State Department could be so unprepared that they show up at a Security Council meeting, an emergency one, and not put forward something.
Well, it says a lot about our intelligence gathering, but let's take a look at the UN in general. The UN has been dealing with this problem since at least, I don't know, 1994, at least this particular problem. Nothing has been accomplished. In fact, they've had 4 tests now, North Korea. I see no success, and a condemnation from the UN has brought absolutely nothing.
Right, and we do have resolutions on the books that have done nothing. And I think the only way to do something is to immediately show that the world is united, to isolate them, and to follow it up with some sort of action. That has not been done. That
almost seems to embolden like the pride, like it's us against them. You know, we've set off this bomb, and what they're hearing. I was on the Pueblo, which was the ship the American ship that they took in the late 1960s, and they gave us a tour of it, and they say, this is where we did this to the Americans. This is where we did that to the Americans. I mean, they take great pride in thinking that it's the whole world against them, and they're getting us. They are convinced they're winning. At least it seemed that way.
Well, one way to bring down that information hold is to take down their blockers, their government blockers on the internet. Let's have free internet. Let's get the people information. Let's put information in there. We should be doing that in China. We should be doing that in North Korea.
I'm not sure they have computers. I mean, they marched us around to this school and they showed us what they were computers, but it's like I think they are so sealed off. I don't think that they have access to computers. Maybe a few black market, but it's very far. It's not very common.
One interesting thing is the Secretary General, the current Secretary General, used to be the Foreign Minister of South Korea. He knows this region, and I think what he's going to do is go way too slow for us. He's going to try to calm the situation down. The Japanese are on the Security Council. They're really irate. They called the emergency meeting with the United States. I think what we need to do is diplomatic action right now. The State Department needs to be working overtime
to do what, though? I mean, what diplomatic action has been successful so far? It keeps getting worse.
Well, I think we got to do warfare, and what I mean by that is information warfare. They're not inside North Korea. They are not getting proper information. We have to be able to play that game. We have to bring down government censors. We have to play the game that they're playing against us. You know,
when we cut them off for food and they starved to death when they had the famine, the leadership didn't care. They didn't care what happened to their people, and the people and many of the people saw it as some sort of sense of pride that they were standing up to the world.
Well, look, we have a policy that the entire Korean Peninsula should be unified, and I think we should act.
They actually have the same policy, but they see unification very differently. They see it as being all DPRK.
Yeah, but we've got to be able to do something. We've got to be able to push forward information that I think will internally break the people. Once they find out what's going on outside, once they see what they're not getting, information is power, and I think that it can really bring down this regime.
I think that's probably your idea is probably the last thing we have left to try, one thing we haven't tried. Anyway, Rick, nice to see you.
Good to see you.